we have now an administration that is taking extraordinary measures at universities, or many people say against universities. How do you see this? How do you see what's happening in American higher education and its relationship to this particular administration? Is there a possibility for constructive engagement? To what degree should presidential leaders, university presidential leaders be looking into their own souls and trying to understand what they could do better? To what degree should they be leading a resistance and fighting a resistance battle and perceiving themselves as leaders of resistance as a way to protect their university? This is a big question, I know, and we don't have that much time. I'd just love to hear your what should
Yeah.
this what how should a university like you and your colleagues, how should they respond in these moments?
Well, I think that those of us who've been trying to reform universities for a while should continue to do that. So the piece I wrote in the Wall Street Journal was complained about ideological homogeneity at universities, but also said that Trump administration's assault is anti-legal, anti-constitutional, lawless, and so I think one can do both of those things. I worry sometimes that those of us who are asking, fix our own houses in this moment are a little like people who thought that the Russians invaded Ukraine because Ukrainians were not doing something right, or like we should fix our own house. There is corruption in Ukraine. But is that really the issue, right? So on the other hand, there are the Trump administration and Trump allies. There are people who want to burn higher education down. They hate learning at that level. They think that it's corrupt. They don't believe in science, apparently, and they're really nihilistic about the possibilities for an educated democracy. I don't think there's much you can do with those people except defend yourself against their onslaught. There are other people, though, who I think would like to see the universities improve and might recognize that America has done well when we've protected civil society's freedoms. And that doesn't mean you isolate civil society from the federal government. Often the federal government subsidizes things in civil elements of civil society, religious institutions,
For the tax
with
code,
tax
for
breaks
example.
and things. Yeah. But that doesn't mean you get to tell the preacher what he's going to say that Sunday, or or if you give a subsidy to a farmer, it doesn't mean you tell them where they go to church. So I think these are very good old conservative picture of American freedom and civil society. And I'm trying to sound those notes because I do think that I'm not sure President Trump has a coherent ideology in regard to this, which I take as a hopeful sign that he could go in a different direction, because the playbook that is being used right now is really right out of the authoritarianism 101, which is to attack universities, attack the press, attack law firms, attack these places of somewhat autonomous legitimacy, even if they're certified by the government in some way or protected by the government.
Right.
And that is extremely worrisome. And I think we have to be on alert against this drift towards fascism. But I think the antidote in this country would be to appeal to really more traditional conservatives as well as progressives who value our freedom to learn, freedom to teach, and freedom to welcome a more diverse group of people into our universities.